Hi there, I'm Don.
And hi, I'm Cindy. Welcome to Pearls of Liberty, June 30th, 2012. And it's almost Independence Day, so happy pre-Independence Day weekend. One thing that I found significant this week was a letter from Lauryn Hill that was written in Tumblr. Lauryn Hill won the Grammy for Best Album in 1999 for The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and she's really kind of an icon. She was married, I don't think they're married anymore, but married to one of Bob Marley's sons. So she's kind of a part of that Marley legacy of freedom and equality, and she disappeared for several years. And this Tumblr letter is an explanation of where she went, stating that she didn't desert her fans and she didn't intentionally evade the IRS, which, you know, that's what, of course, what it all comes down to, is that the IRS are angry with her. But she stated that she needed this time out of the limelight and she needed to withdraw, and she said detox and find healing for herself and her family. And she is a tremendous advocate of family life. She wrote the song Zion about insisting that she carry her son Zion to full term. She became pregnant in the midst of a very demanding time in her career, and her advisors urged her to have an abortion, and she refused. So she's really just has been, I believe, a tremendous role model, influence, beautiful woman, and it's really wonderful to hear this point of view that she's expressing regarding the need to get out of the corrupt system in order to find peace and healing.
But I've never been a Bob Marley fan just because I just never was, but it's all good stuff, and anything to continue that legacy is awesome, so it's all good.
We both wanted to mention just a little bit, we won't get real deeply into it, but the idea of social justice tied to the Christian faith. And I happened on a passage this morning that Paul the Apostle was pretty much saying his farewell. He knew that he was going to be arrested soon and would not be able to continue his travels and visit various believers in various places. And one of the last things he said to them was, he told them that he always supported himself because he considered it priority to care for the weak. And this, historically, this has been a Christian tradition, and we were just talking about how in the 60s with Martin Luther King, the social justice, that was all, it all went together with the Christian faith. But in the 80s, somehow that got flipped, and the only social justice that Christians were supposed to care about was abortion and gay marriage, which were both polarizing.
Yeah, I believe it was deliberate. It was a deliberate strategy to split and weaken the Christian community. And I remember when I came to Christ in the born-again way after searching in Eastern religions, it was like I knew I had this Christian background, but it wasn't as personal as it could have been. But the justice issues were a part of my upbringing. The whole culture of fighting for the little guy was what all Christians knew that Christ stood for. So now I see a strategy to splinter off the Christian community into, yeah, if you're going to be effective in politics, you have to join the Republican Party, fight for the to outlaw abortion, or at least make that possible to be fought for at the states. And I completely agree with that, but that's always been, I see it now, a red herring as a way to divide the Christian community so that there wouldn't be a voice for social justice. And I'll say it really clearly, in my mind, that doesn't mean government programs. Social justice doesn't mean food stamps for everyone or guaranteed income or any of that stuff. It means getting rid of the oppressors, and the people that have the power need to be pulled back because they are oppressing, and they're generally hidden behind the scenes in corporations and with lawyers, etc. So it's not about government doing more. It's about and I believe that the government regulations to control corporations are always bogus because they're all controlled by lobbyists anyway. So it's a big mess, but I'm just saying that there really is a connection between Christians and the desire for social justice, because that was Jesus' heart, and Christians need to find that heart again.
You're going to make me cry. We did want to mention a little bit about Drake because he has come out with a new statement as of June 27th, and I listened to about half of it, and he's basically saying that there's going to be a bigger show than fireworks this weekend, and or at some point in the near future. And he mentioned the film Independence Day, and he says he communicates with ETs, which I'm not a big, I'm not fully convinced of that exactly, but he says they might be angels, which could be. But everybody, you know, Don and I have gone back and forth, is Drake for real? Yes, no, whatever. As I listened to him, I did hear a tone in his voice that seemed like it was either fear or excitement, and I tend to believe, based on just listening carefully to not only what he was saying but how he was saying it, that he believes he's telling the truth. Now, whether he's being lied to or not is another matter, and David Wilcock wrote some things about that after a conversation that he personally had with Drake.
Right, I didn't listen to the Drake interview. It was long, and I just said, "Hey, Cindy, you do that. You got more time than I do," and she was good enough to go through most of it. But the David Wilcock blog I did read, and I think that he does have a lot of insight and wisdom surrounding that whole issue and how people are played, and what would be the implications if Drake were being played, what would be the implications if he were not, etc. And bottom line, I think he tends to lean towards, and I do too, the possibility that Drake might be being played, and with the potential impact of a big letdown of the people that are expecting these mass arrests, etc. So when it doesn't happen, you're vulnerable and disillusioned, etc. So I recommend reading the David Wilcock blog. There's more to it than that, but that's the just very, very high level boil down. Yeah, it could be a massive psyop. You know, where did this guy come from? It's all kind of nebulous. I guess Wilcock has vetted him that his connections are real, but the powers that be can pick someone, give them their intel, and they'll never know it. That's the best kind of an agent, is one that believes that he's not an agent. So it's all very possible.
My suggestion is that somebody should make a movie about Drake being the Mel Gibson character from the movie Conspiracy Theory 20 or 30, however many years it is later. Because, you know, it's possible that this guy has been a victim of mind control at some point. Really tough call, but we did hear a prophecy a few weeks ago stating that that there was going to be some kind of light in the sky, followed by a cloud that would cover 10 million people, followed by the collapse of a kingdom, and that these would all be perceived as negative, but that actually they would all be positive. And when I heard the Drake, I wondered a little bit about the possibility of the light in the sky, because basically Drake was stating that there's going to be some kind of a light show or something that you would see in the sky.
Fireworks, yeah. We shall see. I just kind of want to take a half a minute to back up all of this and saying, we're just jumping into this stuff, and for people who might be watching and go, who is this Drake guy and what are these people talking about? So we've gone down into this rabbit hole for a while, and to us it's kind of interesting territory, but we want to help to pass along what we're learning to other people. That's the whole point of this. So we got to give you some context. So Drake is this character that's been that has some ties to the military and says that there's going to be some military arrests of the cabal coming soon, and there's been dates that have come and gone and nothing has happened, so his credibility is really out there, but he keeps on trucking. And it's actually just this week that his picture is out there now. People know what he looks like. He's got a full beard, kind of a biker looking guy, kind of heavy set. A guy you wouldn't want to mess with, a guy that looks like a serious bad dude. That's kind of what he looks like. So I picture somebody a little bit different, a little bit more sophisticated, like maybe a retired general type. This guy is more like a biker type. It's interesting to see what's coming out. I guess in a way, just to be honest, maybe the picture made him a little less credible in my eyes, because I was expecting a more military-looking person. But it is what it is, and we shall see how it all plays out.
Last week we talked a little bit about TUSA, and Don, we said that we would keep you updated, so Don has a little, maybe not little, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be little. I'm one of the things that I mentioned last week when we did our on-the-road video, we went through some of the differences in how the solutions are, the solutions being offered by RUSA, Republic for the United States of America, and TUSA, the United States of America, built on the Articles of Confederation, which used that name. And there's a lot of precision involved in the TUSA, or General Post Office GPO solution, in terms of naming, etc. And we're learning more as we get into it. And just want to mention that in any group there's cultural issues, and the culture of a group is a big deal. But I don't think personally that should be the deciding thing, because it just takes people to change a culture. So if you want to change a culture, just get more people that have the cultural bent, and then that culture will be more prominent. But the things that are the basic foundational stones of the group, the organization, that's going to stay the same. I want to emphasize one thing I may not have said last time, is that RUSA is built on an ecclesiastical trust. So there's a whole thing of God or charity being involved in this, and that's a legal entity, and that's different from the way TUSA is set up. Not set up as an ecclesiastical trust, it's set up more like a business. So that is actually something of the difference in the culture there too. There is openly Christian stuff about RUSA, but they don't say that you have to be Christian. In TUSA, there is more of a business culture, because this information that they used to set their thing up came out of wanting to do business in a smart way. So that led to understanding about government and actually re-inhabiting a government. Makes sense. However, I'm not really a business person, and Cindy has actually more business smarts than I am. But there's the culture that exists in TUSA, I'm learning, is pretty business oriented, and I'm encouraging you, if you're not that way, to look into it anyway, because a group needs all kinds of people in order to be healthy. So there's a lot of good foundational things, but there can be some things that rub you the wrong way if people are always looking about what the cost-benefit analysis of this thing is. And I'm not even saying there was a discussion about that, but things along those lines. For me, any group of people needs to be about how do we make the world better for humanity and keep the big picture in mind, and don't get everybody thinking about what's in it for them. So there is a tendency now in TUSA for people to be looking about what's in it for them, and I'd like to help change that. So if you're into changing that, hey, check it out, become a part of it, and we'll see how it all pans out, and we'll keep you updated.
Awesome. Something that is not so awesome is another aspect of business determining the path of government, which has happened evidently with the insurance companies impacting upon the decision for Obamacare, not directly. That's just something that Alex Jones was talking about. That's not an original thought. But the Supreme Court upheld Obamacare.
This, I think it blew people's minds, and whether or not that was planned, I'm not sure. I think maybe it might have been. American people kind of feel kind of sucker punched, especially with Justice Roberts, who's normally conservative, siding with the liberal wing and saying, hey, we're going to let people do whatever they want, we'll just call it a tax. You guys voted for it, we're not going to stand in your way, hey, go for it. Forget the Constitution. I mean, this is just so blatantly unconstitutional in my mind. It isn't funny, because here you have the government telling people they have to buy something whether or not they want it, and they get taxed on it or penalized. Penalized, tax, no difference, if they don't buy it. And that's blatant in-your-face tyranny. I don't see any way to camouflage that. The only silver lining I can see is that's going to cause people to wake up and reject it, and maybe it sounds like there's some moves of Republican governors that say that they're not going to go along with it. But I am leery of this being sort of a bait and switch or a problem reaction solution kind of a scenario. We know that the cabal forces are deliberately imploding the economy. We know that part of their strategy is to pit people against each other. We know that they deliberately bring chaos so that they can bring their order out of it. I'm suspicious that that's what's going to happen. Everybody that will tend to move to a state that sees it their way, and that will just divide America further. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, or if that's just kind of talk. We'll see. But and whether or not Mitt Romney's going to save us, I think, is a totally bogus option. That's just not going to happen. Of course, people know that he was the author of the prototype of Obamacare as Massachusetts governor, so he's bought on into this stuff. Not that he thinks that it's good for business, but that just that he's a big government guy that's bankrolled by the money that's running government. So don't think that that's government against the corporations. They're all like this. They're together. This is fascism. This is government and corporations moving in lockstep, and don't think that Romney's going to save you, but seek out and find real grassroots solutions and people that are finding solutions on their own. That's what we're doing, and we need to rebuild our communities around the values that we share as Americans. So actually this is an opportunity to do that. That's my silver lining statement. And
we talk to so many people who want to get back to the land, want to live in more traditional ways, and I don't mean like Leave It to Beaver, I mean even the generation before that. It'd be fun if we could bring some of our technology with us, but maybe leave behind video games. I'm not sure. We're not players, so it's no sacrifice to us. But just getting back to that lifestyle of it's a little slower paced, a little more relationship based, and a little more affirming in general. So I think that's pretty much everything that we wanted to share, and I know Don has at least a few closing words.
Well, I guess it's also worth mentioning what the Fast and Furious thing that happened with Holder this week, and the contempt of Congress a couple days ago, and whether or not anything's going to happen from it. I think that's the end. I don't think anything's going to happen. I think there's not going to be any special prosecutor, and the Department of Justice is run by Holder, so it's not going to investigate the Attorney General. So that ain't happening. I think this is just putting a ribbon on it, tying it up, and it's going to go away. And no matter what people may be saying that they want to know the truth, yeah, right. that would be a first. So that's all on that. That Joe Paterno died, and whether or not he was killed, we know that there are cancers that kill people, and the timing of this is just a little bit suspicious, and it sort of prevents the inquiry from going further to find out who knew what when and all of that. And I've never been big on following this scandal anyway. I think it's just sad here's how I look at it. This is just disillusionment of Americana. Penn State, the icon, or one of the icons of college football, the wholesome all-American sport. And here is this ugly scandal in the middle of it, and this coach with a sterling reputation is severely tarnished right before he dies. It's sad. This is sad stuff that's happening in America, and that's just one example. There's this kind of thing is happening in virtually every business and industry. And here's my parting thought: is that in order to be disillusioned, you first have to be illusioned. So it's a good thing to have your illusions taken from you so that you can see the real deal, and maybe we can build America again on a new foundation, because the old thing wasn't what we thought it was, and it's pretty much gone anyway. So get together with people that understand liberty and put your thinking caps on and figure out how we can do this thing.